Hello, my name is Juan. I am a Spanish video remote interpreter. I specialize in medicine. I'm a medical video interpreter, and I've been an interpreter for the past 4 years. And the purpose of this videos is just to show you what it is, the how a life in the day of an interpreter is, a video remote interpreter. The date today is 03/18/2021, March 18, 2021. And well, this is just to let you know all the highlights of my day, uh, what I did, if any unique situations came up, and how I went about handling them. So let's get started. Today I took 34 calls. It was a mix between video calls and actual phone calls. One thing that I had today, I had a call about a lady that was getting her second dose of that vaccine, of that disease that that's going around, the unmentionable Rona. And that makes me feel good because everybody's already getting those vaccines. And well, that means that um, well, we're actually like seeing the beginning of the end of this, I hope. But another thing that actually happened today is that this gentleman, whenever he was being asked questions, he wouldn't answer. And the nurse said that the gentleman probably didn't understand that all of this was confidential and asked if I could let him know that everything that was said is confidential. And I had already told him so, but maybe he didn't get it the first time or he wasn't listening. I don't know. But then when I let him know that everything was confidential the second time, then it kind of like just reassured him and he just opened up. This had never happened before. Like usually people are just they just speak freely without a problem or anything. But this gentleman, I had to let him know that it was a confidential session, like I do with every session per company policy and per HIPAA regulations. So that's one thing that was kind of unique today. And another thing that happened, on a lighter note, uh, this lady, she couldn't pronounce the patient's name. So I was about to call this lady, so I had to get information from her. And she said the name wrong, and she couldn't stop laughing. Man, her laugh was so contagious. It made me laugh so much. And then you could hear her laughing, and then she would press mute. And then I would ask her a question, and she would unmute, and you could just hear the laughter. And she was also speaking to her coworkers, and you could hear them all having a blast. And it was really funny because she couldn't give me a straight answer without laughing. Like the laugh would just get in the way of her answering the questions that needed to be answered so that I could place the call. And it was really funny because you could hear the call go silent, and then all of a sudden, when I asked the question and she answered, you could just hear her laughing. Like that was pretty funny, and that had never happened before. Another thing that happened today is that I learned a new word. The new word is serosa or serous membrane, and this is like the outermost layers that the organs inside of the um, abdominal cavity, they all have this outermost layer, and I didn't know this word. But since I'm like in front of a computer, sometimes I can get away with not knowing a word and actually looking it up on Lingui, which is my go-to dictionary. It doesn't always work. It's not always perfect, but this time it did work. And she also explained what the doctor also explained what it was. So I just looked it up real quick. saw it in Lingui, and I just said the translation in Spanish, which is practically the same, cerrosa. So that was pretty easy, but that was a new word, and she explained that it was the outermost layer of the uterus. So I thought that it was the outermost layer of the uterus, but I researched it, and it turns out that it's actually the outermost layer in all of the organs that we have inside of the abdomen. So, I mean, in this industry, are always going to be learning new words. And in this case, I didn't have to ask the provider what it meant because I could look it up. But there will be other times when you don't know a word and the well, you're gonna have to ask the provider, and it's okay. I mean, you have to let everyone know, and you should know yourself that we're not a walking dictionary. So if you don't know a word, is fine, and be sure to clarify and to ask the word. All of the providers will know this, even the patients. If you just let them know, you know what, I don't know the meaning of this word. Is there another word that you can use for it? Or could you say it a different way? And sometimes they will gladly do so. I've had providers that when you ask them, you know what, I'm not familiar with this word, of course you have to let them know. Hi, this is the interpreter, and I am not familiar with this word. And they will almost give you a definition all the time, or they'll just be like, oh, just say blah, blah, blah. And then you can go on with your interpretation. One thing that I like to do though is I like to ask the providers if they can spell a word so that I can add it to my vocabulary. Some do, some don't. Don't get offended if they don't. I mean, they they probably don't have the time, or they probably been having a bad day, so don't take it personally if they don't want to spell out the word. But it's good to ask. That way you can have it and you can quickly look it up and you've already seen it, and it'll be easier because trust me, once you see a word, it usually you will usually see it again in the future. And the last thing that happened today is that there was a mental health evaluation for a patient that had a problem with his leg and they really needed a surgery, and the gentleman was refusing the surgery, and he did not seem to have a problem with mental health because he was answering all of the questions um, just like a person, like a person, just like a normal person, like a person that has no mental health problems. Of course, I'm not one to know because I don't have any medical training. I'm just a medical interpreter. But the psychiatrists seem to think so as well. But there was a thing. They asked the gentleman who was going to pick him up, and he started to say a friend, but then in the end he switched it and said it was his mother that was actually coming to pick him up, and he just kept on spinning the story around, and whenever that happens, that makes me feel like the providers think that I'm not interpreting well or something. And sometimes when that happens, I always like to let the provider know what's going on. Just to let them know, hi, this is the interpreter speaking. The questions that I'm asking the gentleman are exactly as you are stating them, and the gentleman is answering this and this. And of course, since it's a mental health evaluation, then the provider already knows, and it won't be a problem because that's what they're there to do, to evaluate the health of the person. So sometimes those sessions get really tough. This time it wasn't that tough because the gentleman seemed to be aware of everything that was going on. It was just that story that he couldn't keep straight with who was going to pick him up. But everything else was actually just like a normal session. And the psychiatrist at the end let him know that everything seemed fine and that he would just be getting checked the next day. So that was pretty much the highlights of my day. I hope you really enjoyed it. For the future, I hope to do this live and to actually ask, to let the viewers ask a couple of questions, whatever they want to ask about, personal stuff about the channel, about the company, about interpretation, just anything. And I'm gonna be doing this every Monday through Friday from about 6 p.m. Mountain Time to about 6:20 p.m. Mountain Time. So stay tuned for that. And if you like this, go ahead and give us that thumbs up because it really helps the algorithm. Subscribe if you haven't. And also uh, make sure to share this with all of your friends and stay tuned because I'm going to be here every Monday through Friday that I work right after my shift. I just got off my shift and got set up to do this. So I hope this comes as a help to you. And I know it's gonna be good for me because it'll help me like unwind and actually uh, just think, be more thoughtful about my day and everything that I did. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you tomorrow. Happy interpreting. Goodbye.